Hey, it's Mrs. Moss talking to you today about men, abortion in the church. This is a video for the church, and it's not my heart to hurt anybody's feelings. But I think I'm supposed to talk about some stuff nobody else is talking about. You know how they say you should write the book you want to read? You should paint the painting you want to see? This is the video I wanted to watch. Turns out I had to make it myself. I had an abortion in the 1980s. And it's so bizarre and hard to talk about stuff. So I made an analogy. I don't know if that's the right word. That my crisis pregnancy and abortion was like this terrible car crash that my boyfriend and I were in. And the crash wrecked up our relationship, and it was a disaster. So I use that as a way to talk about it because it's so hard to talk about. I went looking and looking for help, and I finally found some nice little church ladies. Talk about them all the time. They were in a healing group. I went to a support group, a healing group, and took some Bible studies. I went on a weekend retreat a lot of years later, and it was all helpful. These ladies that I was looking for were under a banner of love. Okay, here's your basic stuff. Why don't people talk about abortion? Why do I have to make this movie? Because it's shameful and embarrassing. You don't want to talk about it. You can't talk about it at the church supper. You can't just, casually bring it up. So, I talk a lot about in my videos about your story, which I said mine was like a car crash. So, in my little videos I talk about your story a lot, the story of your car crash, and how to be wise about guarding your story, or who you're going to share it with, or even when you get to the point you're really brave and you believe that the Lord can redeem it and do something with it. So I talk a lot about the story. One of the things that prompted me to make this video is that I felt men were not rising to leadership. They were ashamed about their abortions, and the enemy was keeping them isolated in what I call the camp of the enemy, shame and isolation. They were afraid to go on and be leaders in the church. So I did a little video about that. Hey church, I want you to be healthy, and I want the men to rise to leadership. So I need to show you another scenario that might not have occurred to you. Here's a scenario. This isn't a churchy setting. Okay, woohoo! Here's your post-abortive man. He's already talked to Jesus about his abortion. Jesus knows the story. God has forgiven him of his sin. So watch what can happen now. Here's some of the church guys. Hey, we love you. You're such a good church guy. We need you to be a leader. We need you to be a Sunday school leader. We think you should be a pastor. We think you should rise to leadership. I don't think I should. Come on, what's wrong with you? Why don't you rise to leadership? We ask you every year, you rise to leadership. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about all that. What could this man be, what could be hindering this man from rising to leadership? What could he picture in his poor, blown apart mind that nobody else is picturing or even putting into words? What? What is this? What is this in the shadows? Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, it's somebody from the past. Here's someone in the shadows. This could be someone that he had an abortion with, that he's hesitant to rise to leadership because he thinks she may come forward and say, Well, what could she say? She could say 1,000 things. She may never come forward, but the fear of this happening is enough for this man not to want to be a leader. She could say, oh, you think you're a great church guy, but you didn't treat me right 30 years ago. Or, you betrayed me. Or, how dare you think you're a Christian because things weren't so good between us. She could be a daughter who says, I don't respect you. You made me have an abortion when I was 16. Now you're trying to be a leader at the church. This person from the shadows could be anybody. So what can you do? What can you do? I think a good strategy would be for this man to tell another man, or a little group, maybe 2 men. They value each other's leadership. They value each other as Christian men. And if he could find a safe man or 2 to tell his story to, then they could all choose to be in a covenant relationship with each other, to stand with each other in case the day ever did come that somebody broken came out of the past and tried to harm him or hurt his leadership. Now, if your church has a whole bunch of healing people in it, this lady doesn't have to be left broken. You could send the healing women over to help her, so she doesn't have to stay in her broken place. Wow. There you go.